Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your hosts from Columbus, Ohio and Westfield, Massachusetts are Michael Kirk and Nathan Wagner. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Super Show. Good morning, Nate.
Good morning, Michael, and good morning to our listeners. Good to be back on the Mudcast. It feels like it's been too long. I appreciate you guys sticking with us through my absence.
Yeah, I'm glad we got you back on. It was a shame we couldn't have known last week. Here now, and we're ready to talk about what's going on in Super Show.
As they say, then, now, and forever. So let's get this ball rolling, or these dice rolling, as they say in Super Show.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the most time-sensitive thing. So, in celebration of the SRG Super Show discussion group's 1-year anniversary, they did a create a card competition. You could submit your card, the name, description, number, as much information as you wanted, to a particular email. That email doesn't matter because that part of the contest is closed. And the people at SRG picked the top 10, and one of these top 10 will be made into a card. So, the current contest is as follows. You have up to 4, I believe you have up to 4 votes that you can cast for the top 10. And then they will take the top 4 vote getters from the first poll and then basically put them in an additional poll, whittle them down to a top 1, and that card will be made into. So,
I wonder if they play tested these at any point.
I don't think so, and I would not also be surprised if they end up making some changes with text cards between the time they win and the time they get made, just to make the balance better.
Yep.
But let me have you gotten a chance to look at these cards?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me go through them for the listeners. I'll read them off what they do, and then I'll get your opinion on it, okay?
All right.
All right, so the first one. No soup for you.
Sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, I know. For those of you, I can't remember if we talked about it on the show, but I know that was when you were going to create the chef, that was going to be one of your finished games.
Yep.
All right, it is it's number 21, follow-up submission. So this would be in the same slot as leg lock, back break, those type of cards. You may force your opponent to re-roll their next roll. If you win the turn roll, draw 1 card.
I like the text on it. It's pretty neat. As I've said before, I'm not a fan particularly of giving up the stop cards in those slots. I generally like to keep my decks pretty stop heavy as much as possible, unless those slots are like gotta have something that interacts with the gimmick really well. The style of the deck that I'm playing, like it's got to be like a home run kind of card, like a 7-1-8 for me to take that stop out of there and put something different in.
All right. Number 2 on the list, ringside assistance. It's a 19 follow-up strike. Your opponent cannot move cards you have in play to any other location.
That would be something I would put in the 19 slot over an elbow strikes or a blindside smash.
All right. Number 3, impactful boot. Number 8, lead grapple. Add 1 lead from your discard pile to your hand. When your opponent adds to their turn roll, your turn roll is +4.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty. Obviously, this is they're trying to make this the same theme as making an impact.
Yeah.
All right.
That way, that when one of them comes out with their own competitor, it's going to have a gimmick that has something to do with impact as a phrase.
Could be. Very well could. All right. Number 4, hot tag. Number 16, follow-up strike. If you have another follow-up in play, your partner may play 1 lead or follow up this turn as if it were their
turn. I do like this card because, and I'll tell you why I like it a lot. Simply because there's not enough tag team cards that help out in the situation of a 4-person tag, or even just well, yeah, for 4-person tag, or I mean, not that this is going to help you in Tornado, but there's not enough stuff that helps in those formats. So I'm really a fan of this. It's a really unique mechanism, and I think it would be interesting to see how it would play out in a multiplayer match.
Yeah, there's a couple things I have with this card. Number one, I'm a little biased against it because the card I submitted was also called Hot Tag. And while I'm perfectly willing to resubmit my card, I don't know if it works with a name other than Hot Tag. Whereas I think you could change the name of this card and it could still do what it does. So I'm a little bit biased against it. The other issue I have with this, since we've been talking about the whole call to the crowd / save the bacon issue.
Right, yeah, is Save the Bacon going to copy the text of this?
Yeah, if Save the Bacon's going to copy text of this, will it work?
Probably not.
Or will they say not? Because it is much more specific. It does say they can play it as if it were their turn, as opposed to call to the crowd, where it just says an additional card this turn. Because I know that when we talked to John Colbrino, that was one of his issues as to why Save the Bacon type cards can't copy the call to the crowd kind of type cards.
And what was his response to that? What was this issue?
So the ruling that basically he explained to me, which again this is just John Polverino, it's not Steve Raskins. I can't. While he is one of the best resources for rules, ultimately Steve is the top rule guy, and at the end of the day, nobody's ruling counts. But what Polverino was telling me was the reason that combo did not work is because in order to basically be able to play a card on like that on your opponent's turn, the text of the card that you're copying would have to specifically say you can play an additional card on your opponent's turn. Like just saying this turn isn't specific enough. It would have to be more specific than that.
I did see. I get what he's saying, but at the same time, this turn isn't not specific enough, because if it is your opponent's turn, that's this turn. So I mean, you played your card this turn, so you should be able to play another card this turn.
Yeah, that's why
that's just getting a little bit. That's just getting a little bit too nitpicky, and I don't think that that's good enough reason for not being able to play another card this turn.
That's why I made my suggestion about adding, making card correction to those cards to make that effect uncopyable in certain situations, and they may have to do the same thing. Well, I don't know how they're going to rule this if this ends up being the card getting made. I don't know if they're going to have to add text to it or something like that. But I could see this if a card like this gets made. To me, this is going to bring up that same issue.
Right.
But we'll see how that goes because there's no guarantee this will be the card. But it's currently one of the. We'll go through who's in the lead right now, but it's currently one of the top 4. So number 5, it's a Second Wind. It's a number 17 follow-up grapple. Your opponent's next turn rolls -1 for each other follow-up you have in play. When this card is in play, and you have 2 or fewer cards in hand, at the end of any player's turn, draw 1
card. I like the name of the card. I don't really like the card text. I do like the bottom half of the card text. It says when you have 2 or less in your hand at the end of any player's turn, draw a card. I feel like that people now are fixated on aerial lipstick being the reason why you have no hand size. So other than aerial lipstick, I don't see very many times where I played where I have 2 or less cards in my hand. So I don't feel like that would ever trigger for me.
Yeah, this to me is definitely a riff on a Powerful Impact.
Yes, absolutely.
Which has the same first sentence about the -1, but it says when this card's in your discard pile and you have 2 of your cards in your hand, you can add it to your discard pile.
I don't know. I think that if they change the number from 2 to maybe 3, that would be better.
Because the thing I can see with this is this, especially if your cards are stops. My opponent can play a card. If I have 3 cards in my hand, my opponent plays a card, I stop one, I can immediately draw.
Yeah, for sure.
So that'd be an interesting mechanic. I don't know if it's probably fine. I don't think it's probably not. I mean, look, they picked them, so these are probably pretty close to balance as far as these goes. I can't imagine you pick like, oh yeah, play this card, it's completely unbalanced. But it's one of the time. Vote for it. All right, number 6, corner boot face wash. It's a number 15 follow-up submission. Your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. If thrown to the corners in play, this card cannot be stopped. It's a +8 power skill requirement.
I like the fact.
It's an 8 plus. Sorry, not plus.
I like the fact that they're doing a throw to a card that doesn't really get a lot of play thrown to the corner. And again, other cards like that, like Irish Whip and Drag to the Center, those cards really don't get a lot of play. I'm not a fan of all this boot stuff coming out. It's only going to power up Immortal Warrior, who's already quite a center of controversy and on people's local playgroup ban lists. And I don't see why that character needs any more further powering up, especially after, I'm not going to go into debate about it, but about the whole Booth thing. Got that on his side now, and just any more boots, I really don't think it's necessary. But anyways.
And I think the only person that really is affected by boot in the gimmick is Jay Marconi.
Well, that and, the Immortal Warrior can reroll every time he's got a boot in play. All right. He needs, how many more boots do they need in the game?
Wait, he can reroll every time there's a boot in play?
Once per, on his finish roll, he can reroll his finish roll for the boot in play.
Oh, okay.
The Immortal Leg Drop.
I did not realize that. Okay, that's why. Okay. All right. It is, well, it's an 8 plus power. He does have a high power, though, doesn't he?
9.
9, yeah, so you'd be able to play this. He would have to give up, because his technique's 10, right?
Yes.
I mean, he would have to give up a single leg crap to play this.
Yeah. Well, if you're playing aggro, I mean.
Yeah. All right. So, next card, number 7, is a card I've thought about doing at some point. Small package. Number 26, Lead Grapple. This card is also finish. If your finish roll is 8 or higher, it is -3. Shuffle 2 cards from your discard pile into your deck.
Okay, I submitted a card, which was called Using the Ropes, and it was a number 27, just like this. And I believe my text was the same. I don't think the game needs another pin finish in the 26 slot. I think that we could use a pin finish in the 27. That's just my opinion.
I don't mind it. I mean, they're all basically the same, just a little bit different variation of what they do. I mean, it really just doesn't matter for things like. I mean, Schoolboy with the draw is still, I think, going to be the strongest. But if you're playing somebody who gimmick triggers off shuffling, the Shane Hurricane Helms comes to mind, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see you doing this. My original concept for this was making your opponent like discard from their hand.
Yeah.
Because but this is just as good. I mean, I think it's a decent card.
There's a lot of people whose gimmicks work with submissions, though, and it'd just be nice to see,
I just, I'm just not sure if we need, how many extra finishes do we need to pack? I mean, I don't know if they want to go with, okay, let's put additional fin, let's put it like, the Schoolboy equivalent in submission or in strike.
I definitely don't ever see there being a reason to have a strike one, or I don't see that being logical, but I definitely could see a submission one. As I've said before, there is a Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shane Strickland match. Not Shane Strickland, the person from Kentucky, but the actual wrestler. And Zack Sabre did a pin on him where he began to apply the figure 4 and then did a backwards bridge over him and got a pin on him for the 1, 2, 3. So that's an interesting pin, and it's a submission move. Again, there's a card called Apply Leverage, which I believe is in the 15 slot. I think that could also be, no pun intended, applied towards using the ropes for a pin, putting your feet on the ropes. But anyways, moving on. What do we got
All right,
for the next one?
number 8, Green Mist. Number 22, Follow Up Strike. Take one card from your discard pile and add it to your hand. Draw a card. I'll probably get changed to draw one card in the final. +1 to your next turn roll. If stopped, you lose by disqualification.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I remember, this card is in the lead right now.
I believe it is. Yeah, we'll go through where the standings is. I have that pulled up.
But this is the card that I voted for. I think it's by far and away the strongest card. It's like an upgrade to Chicken Wing in the sense that you draw a card and you still get a bonus to your turn. However, you got to kind of bait your opponent into letting it hit them because you have to be sure that it can hit. Otherwise, you're going to lose the match.
Well, it also depends on the match type. I mean, most of your stipulations, you can't lose by disqualification. Any tag, any trio, any multiplayer.
There's also ways around it. I mean, you could use the spectacle bumps the ref to ensure that you're not going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you can use you can pack security provided by the Outback Protection Agency as an entrance. There are ways to get around being disqualified.
I definitely do like this card, though.
Yeah, you could put this in on Anarchy Sun. There's some things you can do with this card for sure. I think it's interesting, and I think I'm also surprised at how many Green Mists. Apparently, there were a lot of people who submitted cards named.
Interesting. I could see this card becoming the next Death Drop, where it's going to have multiple colors being printed.
Well, you think it'll have a Green Mist and a Red Mist, Orange Mist,
Black Mist, yeah, all of them.
I don't know if Black Mist is going to show up that well.
If they show a picture of the guy's face with black on it, I mean,
I guess. I don't think they ever do Black Mist. I don't know if they ever use black. But all right.
Toru Yano actually about a month ago in the G1 used Black Mist.
Okay. All right. Now going on to the next one. Number 9, Anger Intervention. It's a number 8 lead grapple. Add 1 lead from your discard to your hand. When your opponent adds their turn roll, you may draw 1 card.
I definitely like the text on this card because there are so many people, myself included, that the cards that aren't stops are turn roll bonuses. And there's a lot of gimmicks that add to the turn rolls, like just thinking of it offhand right now. Booker Mania came out, and that's a huge competitor that has to do with adding turn rolls. So you're going to be drawing a lot of cards off of this.
Yeah, this is very similar to the one we read earlier, Impact Loot. These would be interesting in Twins decks. For sure.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Imagine that in the Tiki Twins. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so whenever your opponent adds you, so Impact for Boot, when your opponent adds their turn roll, your turn roll is +2.
I wonder how well Booker Mania would pair with the Tiki Twins in a trio.
It'd be interesting. Well, he's only going to ever add the bonus +1.
No, I know, but that +1 is still handy. And then, I mean, that's... Never mind, I don't want to get into strategy right now, but... yeah. In any event, what's the next card we got?
Yeah, what's going to be nasty is Tiki Twins on one side and Booker Mania on the other, and Tiki Twins add to their bonus rolls. Pump it up, Booker. Okay, and the last one, number 10, it's an entrance card. It's the only no 1 through 30 card in this list. It's an entrance card, Backstage Politics. If you end your turn without playing a card, and this card is not a title match, but I'm assuming it means that it should say this match is on a title match, blank an opponent's entrance.
So, I mean, I would say just from observing and from playing this game as much as I have in the last year, either you're playing Champion at Kickstarter. Most people are playing Champion at Kickstarter, so this isn't going to do squat to that. Or, I mean, of course, it could blank the part about the kick.
Yeah, blank the part about the kick, right.
But, I mean, that doesn't really come into play too often unless you're playing against a Zack Sabre Jr. or that person is going to, be able to throw that kick card just to get a lead out on the board.
Yeah.
or they're going to be playing Director of Operations. That would be nice to shut that down. You don't see a lot of other people playing too many different entrance cards other than Director of Operations and Champion of Kickstarter. I mean, it does happen, but those are the two most frequently used ones.
But I think that, well, with this card would get, well, I've also seen some Backed by the Gray Machine.
I've been playing that recently, actually.
That's one that's been really strong. I know that our current BCW champion plays True Survivor quite a bit.
Oh, well, here's an idea. If you're going to go
Huh?
against Steve Resk in a membership ring match, you could use this and shut off his membership ring.
That's true. Yeah, you could absolutely. If this ends up becoming the card, you could blank membership rings and membership. But yeah, and that's the other thing too. I see this being something you'll use when you win your first turn. Like you win your first turn, you'll bury, and you'll immediately go boom blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely can see this being. If this were to hit, this is going to be. It's because, especially because unless it's something like Champion and Kickstarter, where you're basically done after the first turn. This card will effectively basically destroy any opponent's entrance card. So this is kind of a nasty card. So let me give it. I mentioned earlier I have the results of the voting. Here are the current results as they stand as of right now. Green Mist is in the lead with 50 votes. Hot Tag's a close second with 46. Second Wind is taking the third spot with 38. Small Package has 28. Anger Intervention 23. Impactful Boot 20. Backstage Politics 19. No Soup for You 14. And then the corner boot face wash and ringside assistants bottom, they're tied. So right now it looks like pretty much it's between Green Mist and Hot Tag. There's only 4 votes between them.
I personally, it doesn't matter to me which one wins because they're both really good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in Green Mist. I think that's the most. I mean, it looks to me like it's the most popular. But it looks like what's going to make at this point what's going to make the next round is Green Mist, Hot Tag, Second Win, and Small Package. Unless you see like a late surge now. Voting is closed 1 week from the day they posted this, which they posted this Tuesday at 4:44 p.m. So I'm assuming you have until next Tuesday afternoon to get your vote in. But I would go ahead and say if you have not voted, go to the SRG Super Show discussion group and vote. I searched the term impactful, and it was the first thing to come up because of impactful boots. So that's how I'd recommend looking at it. You can also look up something like Sue or boot face, 2 words. But just, yeah.
Or just look up Green Mist.
Or Green Mist. Yeah, I would look up Green Mist, yeah. Find it and vote. You get 4 votes in this round.
You can vote for 4 different cards.
You
You
can
can't vote for the same cards. one 4 times.
Right, you can vote for 4 different cards. You got to vote for up to 4. So yeah, I'd encourage everyone to vote. Just get the card you want to get. But yeah, right now it looks like it's green. It looks like Green Mist. Yeah. So that is those are the potential cards that could be added to the game. That could come out. I bet it's not going to be out before DragonCon. It might be out before let's say Flat Saturday too.
Probably yes.
Yeah, because that's our next topic to talk about. There have been quite a few events announced that are coming up. First big one, which I'm probably going to go to because it's just a couple hours away, Marktoberfest.
Hosted by Rust Belt.
That's right. So on September 21st, registration starts at noon at Recess Games in North Olmsted, Ohio, the usual home of the Rust Belt Championship Wrestling. There's going to be a critic competitor tournament. So registration, like I said, starts at noon. They're looking to start the tournament at 1. The number of rounds is going to be based on how many people sign up. The top cut's going to be based on the same thing, although top 4 they have announced top 4 will involve a best 2 out of 3. They're also going to have a Beat the Director of Operations challenge. It could be any kind of, you versus David Marisak in any kind of match. He said there could be any stipulation, tag, trios, but there will be a prize if you can beat the only man so far to have run the gauntlet challenge at either convention.
That's right. And that's how he got his job back.
Yep. Tickets right now are $30. $30 right now. If you wait to buy them at the door, they're going to go up. They're going to be $40 at the door. So I'd encourage you to buy them now. If you go on Facebook and search for the Supershow Marktoberfest event, there's a link to buy the tickets on the event. It looks like they're selling the tickets through Eventbrite. I also just tried going to Eventbrite. I don't know that much, but Supershow Marktoberfest is going to be at the end of this month, and then of course next month they're going to do. They announced that they are going to be one of these sponsors for Impact, Bound for Glory, the big Impact pay-per-view.
Who's they?
Sorry, SRG Universe is going to be the. You're right. You make it sound like I'm saying Rust Belt. No. The next big thing is going to be on October 20th, the weekend of October 20th. That's a Sunday. SRG Universe has announced they are going to be the sponsors, one of the sponsors of Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory. They're going to be at the show. They're going to have tickets to buy for the show. They're also going to do an event the day before.
Where is the show located?
The show is it's just outside Chicago. It's not in Chicago. I believe it's like a suburb of Chicago. But it's going to be in the Chicago area in mid to late October. They'll be putting out more details about when you can buy tickets, where the events are going to be. So, if you're interested in going to that, watch SRG over the 2 days / week. Seems like it'll be a pretty good time. I don't know if I would go to that or not, but
sure, they've got something up their sleeve for that.
I know they've talked about they'll try to have some Impact talent at their event they're going to be running. I know they mentioned some of the people they might try to get. I can see them. They mentioned they dropped Tessa Blanchard's name. They dropped OVE.
I'm sure you'll see Sammy there. I'm sure you'll see
Sammy there.
Brian Cage be there.
Yeah, I know I'm trying to remember. I believe on the cruise they said one of the. I think it was Ortiz from LAX fan too.
Yep.
Of course, LAX is no longer with Impact, so I don't know if they would be there or not. I just saw Sammy post something on his Twitter, like a little farewell message from LAX. So if they'd be there, I have no idea. But that's the next big event, and then Flap Saturday is going to be. It looks like it's going to be early November. I don't have an exact date on it at the moment.
But they said November 9th.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a single-digit day. It's probably obviously Saturday, so yeah. So, okay, good. November 9th.
It's November 9th, second Saturday.
Okay, yeah. I know last year, I think it started in June. No, I'm sorry. Last year they're supposed to start at 2, and that started after 3. But hopefully they'll start, on time or earlier this time. I was all Clay's fault, by the way. Blame Clay's for late start time. But yeah, I will probably go to because that's not that. It's about as far as a drive to like Indy or Toledo or like Monroe was for me. So I'll probably end up going to that.
That should be a good time.
I went to the first one. That was like the first big event I went to doing the show. I wasn't able to stay as late as I wanted to witness the Kirk Polka John Pulverino match. This was the match that put Polka on the map to Player of the Year. Well, not put him on the map because he'd already won the tag in Origin. But this was probably like the first big single Polka last year. It led to the phenomenal one. in the game.
All those months later.
Yep. Right, and also, the last thing I think I'll get to that came out Topic Universe is they spoiled some cards that are going to be coming up as part of the. And of course, I should mention this too. Dragon Con's going to be at the end of the month. That's a big gaming convention in Atlanta over a Labor Day weekend. It's a 5-day convention, which is pretty big.
That's really long.
Yeah, it's as long as Origins. I looked briefly at going to that. It's just a little bit. It's just a bit more. It's a bit more expensive, a bit more travel. The ticket's about double the Origins ticket for 5 days.
Double?
Yeah, I looked this up. The regular price ticket for Origins was this year was $70, and I got $60 because I bought the early bird ticket. The ticket for 5 days at Dragon Con is $140.
Jeez.
So.
Wow. I wonder what's so special that it's $140.
I don't. It is the only thing I did see was a for-profit convention, so maybe that's why. But otherwise,
Okay, well that makes sense. But $140 for 5 days of Supershow. That's still pretty expensive.
well, that's 5 days of all kinds of gaming, and that's. If you divide that up down, that's less than $30 a day. There are a
But
lot
to
of
the average person who's going to travel to that, I mean, most people, if they're going to go to it, are probably going to go to play Supershow.
well, most people, if you're a Super Show fan, you're going to go there, and you're primarily going to play Super Show. But it's a convention like Origins or GenCon. It's all kinds of games.
I know, but you figure, how long does an event run for Supershow? It takes quite a while to run a Supershow.
It does take quite a while. I mean,
You're going to be, if you're there and you're playing Supershow, you're there to play the Supershow events, you're going to be consumed by the time that it takes to participate in one of these events. Likelihood of you going to participate in another event or even just get to poke around and look at other games, probably not that high.
Well, it'll depend. I mean, first off, they're not doing huge. They're not doing. It's not like the Origins of Gen Con where they're doing all these big tournaments. I don't know how many events there's. I did not look at the schedule, but as far as I know, they're not doing they're not going to be like championship tournaments.
They are doing a tag tournament. I know that. I saw that, and I'm pretty sure
Okay.
they're doing a singles tournament as well.
All right. Well, I don't know if the attendance is going to be. I know the prizes aren't going to be like an Origins or Gen Con prize, at least at this point. But I mean, it's 5 days. I mean, I did Origins over 5 days, and I was still able to do quite a bit other things. It just depends on. It just depends on It just depends on the stuff. I mean, I know that like at Gen Con, they did a lot of the stuff was a lot of tournaments were like late after after 6, so that gave you. I think there's only one day. Well, no, 2 days. Sunday because they didn't close that because they were done by 4, so I just couldn't. And Saturday morning they didn't return. But outside of that, I mean, they did a couple. They did like the Gauntlet was early, but the Gauntlet was 3 and done. It was up to 3 matches. That was it. And if you lost your first or second match, it wasn't that long. And then the Birdcage wasn't bad. I think
there's the part about the Birdcage that takes longest is the drafting.
Yeah, the drafting will take so long. So I think we were still done, at least in my Birdcage, and we were not the latest, but we were one of the later ones. I think we were only there like a couple.
So aside from Dragon Con, any other events coming up in the pipeline?
No, I'd say the big things coming up are Dragon Con at the end of this month, Marktoberfest, the Impact, and Cloud Saturday. Then after that, you have PAX Unplugged, and that's basically the end. PAX Unplugged, I believe, is early December. Maybe the first weekend in December.
I think they still haven't said anything publicly about ArmorCon yet.
Okay. So there's a con in your area up in New England that they will go to?
Yeah, Steve had mentioned something to me a while back about it. I'm not sure if we're 100% committed to it yet or not, but...
Yeah. But they have announced there are going to be Dragon, promo cards / convention exclusive cards for DragonCon coming up.
Maybe they'll do a redo of the Dragon Suplex. They'll do like Dragon Fire Suplex or like Dragon Leg Lock redo.
I think they're just going to be a Dragon Rana.
Dragon Rana, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what cards did they preview on Talk of the Universe this week?
I imagine you can also see a Dragon Sleeper. I don't think that's yet.
Dragon Sleeper Suplex.
All right. But they previewed a couple of cards that look like they're going to get released at DragonCon. Also, the first one was the Coven Trio. I tried to get a screenshot of it, but this wasn't a clear one. There's also going to be an Altar Rhaegar, the Dragon God, coming out.
Spooky.
Yep. The Coven Trio looks like it features Rhaegar, Vampire Sekhmet, and Vampire Bastet.
Nice. The Mortician gets no love.
No love for the Mortician. I guess maybe he's on the tag team with Rhaegar. I don't know. But yeah, right now no Mortician love. So, is it a surprise the Mortician's getting buried though? Is that really a shock? He is a Mortician.
You got any gimmick info on that card?
I could not make it. So the information I have on these cards is basically Steve held his phone up to the screen, and whatever I could read is what I could read. I could not make out anything on that card from trying to screenshot. I couldn't get a shot that we could read the numbers. So I did better with the other two that he put up there. These, as far as I know, are all going to be are going to come out DragonCon. And as far as I know, everything that's going to be out at DragonCon is going to be available for sale that weekend on the website. Now we'll be available. Like, will some of the promos be available past that weekend? I don't know, but at least during that weekend, they will be available. So if you're interested in getting some of the DragonCon promos, I would basically 2 weeks look for them on the website and stash them up. But two other people they promoted. The first one is interesting. It's Sean Grubaugh, Patient Zero.
Did you say Grubaugh?
Grubaugh. It looks like to me like it says Grubaugh. Grubaugh.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have information on stat line or gimmick for that?
Yeah, I've got information on stat line and a partial gimmick. I could not. Part of the gimmick was cut off. Was not because the way he held the phone and the way the image was on it. I don't have a picture of what the competitor looks like. I just have the logo, which is an interesting logo. The name above the logo, which is because it's Sean Grubaugh, and then the Patient Zero is like that's like kind of a logo from what I can tell. But here's the stat line: Power 9, Technique 5, Agility 6, Strike 8, Submission 10, Grapple 7.
I really like that stat line right there. That's a stat line that I could totally work with.
Yeah. All right. And then here's the partial gimmick, and part of this is cut off, and I'll read you each line and stop where it stops. So the top, it's 3 lines. The first top line says your opponent's power, and then it's cut off. So I don't know if that's going to basically make you reduce your opponent's power. And that's what I'm thinking. It'll be like your opponent's power is -1 or something to that effect. I can't imagine what else it would be.
Maybe when your opponent rolls power, you draw a card, or you get a +1 to your roll.
It could also be because the second line says during their turn, turn, and now it looks like the letter B, and that's all I can see. I know it's probably R. So I wouldn't be surprised if it said your opponent's power is minus something during their turn rolls, and something else. And then the last line it says and first and second break out, and I'm assuming the next word is roll. So this could affect your opponent's power during their turn.
What if when they roll power, you get a bonus to your breakout roll?
Could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be.
But that would be very circumstantial because they would have to roll power, and then you'd have to assume that they would hit a finisher, to activate your bonus.
But it looks to me like what this opponent does is it affects your opponent's power. I'm guessing the idea behind the gimmick is if your power is like your constitution, and you get sick because patient zero infects you, then then your power is weak.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's the flavor behind it. The idea is that okay, I'm sick, so I'm not as strong as I would normally be because I'm sick.
But he's the opposite of Eddie Fury.
Could be, yeah. Could be very much the opposite. Could be very similar to that. All right. The other competitor, which I've got like a partial image of the competitor. He's dressed in all blue, pretty much head to toe, short sleeves, long tights, trunks. Long tights, boots, but most of them's cut off. He's called Style O. And it's interesting because it's style and then underscore and then O. So there's no blank between style and O, but there's an underscore. And the O is like a circle with a star in the middle.
I could dig it. I like the vibe.
Now his stats are a little bit harder to read, but I'll do my best. It looks like what he has. This is me trying to guess because some of these numbers are hard.
This is rumor and innuendo, speculation for our dirt sheet.
This is me trying to read. So it looks like the power's a 9. The technique is definitely a 10.
He's got style, so that would make sense, right?
Yeah. The agility is definitely a 5. It looks like the strike is an 8 and the submission is a 6. Again, the 9, 8, and 6 are just kind of hard to read. And the grapple's definitely a 7. All right, and here's the gimmick. If your opponent ends their turn without playing a card, your next turn roll is +3. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like it says +3.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I get past and Barry, I'm getting a +3. Okay.
Yeah, if your opponent buries or passes, you get a +3. It's not bad.
Or like they just activate a spectacle, you're getting +3.
Yeah, I mean, they're still passing and burying when you do that. But no, you're right. If they're activating a spectacle, like if they're essentially foregoing. Well,
I talked to Chris Pagillo about this the other day. I don't know exactly if using a spectacle card doesn't it still constitute as using a card, playing a card for your turn.
Okay.
I think what that means ultimately is like you're not playing anything, you're burying, kind of like for activating the Grand Machine, you end the turn without playing a card, you're going to shuffle 2 cards in your deck. So that would give you +3, like if they use an entrance card of some sort. But I think a spectacle card still is you playing a card on your turn.
Well, that's interesting because obviously if I use an entrance card, would that be considered, like if I use Grand Machine, obviously that can't be considered playing a card because I can only use it when I don't play a card. So,
right, anything that says when you end your turn without playing a card, I believe, would constitute that triggering the gimmick.
Yeah. But that's the information I have on. I don't have any finishers on any of these guys. Well, that's what I have as far as that's what I was able to get off the computer screen.
You could speculate that his finishers for Style O would probably have to do with your opponent ending their turn without playing a card.
I can see that where it's like if your opponent ended the last turn without playing a card, this card's also a follow up. I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your opponent
double these bonuses, stuff like that.
Double these bonuses, last 2 turns, maybe it's unstoppable, something. Yeah, I could definitely see some flavor that involves your opponent not playing a card. See, I like these. I've already got a couple ideas for tag team names with Falling Patient Zero. So
you got to give it up with the tag team names. You're on fire on Facebook with that.
Yeah, I got to do some more. The couple ideas I had was I was going to do Sean Grubaugh, Patient Zero with Zombie, and the team would be called Outbreak. I also thought about doing Patient Zero with a numero uno, and it's a binary.
I was thinking of a tag team.
Okay.
EDM and DJ Outlaw.
I can't put myself in the tag team because it's too nepotistic.
And their tag team name is the Greatest Hits.
Number 1 with a bullet.
Speaking of DJ Outlaw, our very own Michael Kirk's competitor card came to this game, and I would like to have the great honor and privilege of talking about this competitor. I was You had spoken to me about it quite often when you were in the creative process of it and shared some of the artwork, and I really like this card. I know it debuted at GenCon and didn't have as much luck as you'd like to, but that's the way the dice roll sometimes.
No. I came close. I came close to making the cut with him when we're in the World Championship tournament. I was 3-1, and I had to win one more, and I lost the last two. It was kind of unfortunate. Ran into an aerial lipstick that derailed me. Oh, that probably won't happen next year, but I can
DJ
see
Outlaw, very awesome artwork. This is the heel character.
no, he's not a heel character.
I thought you said this was a heel character.
No, this is the face character.
It's kind of hard to be a face when you got a bandana over your face.
Rey Mysterio,
It's a mask.
Mr. America,
The Patriot.
the Patriot. I feel like isn't Bandito a face
He might be.
from Ring of
Right.
Honor? Either way,
You got
his intention
an 8
to be a
power.
face. Yeah,
You got the 8 for power. You get
8
the
power.
6 for technique, 10 agility, very agile in the ring.
Yeah.
5 for strike, 7 for submission, and then 9 for grapple. So, got some options. When you roll strike, submission, or grapple for your turn roll, your opponent randomly reveals one card in their hand. If the move type of the card revealed is the same as the skill you rolled, the card is buried. So this is great for multiple reasons because you got a 50-50 chance of tracking the gimmick, and you get information on what's in the opponent's hand.
Yeah.
So that was really strong. And people may think, well, it's only one card, but that one card that you're getting rid of could be a key stop. It could be a finish. It could be that follow-up that they only have one follow-up in their hand. That may be the follow-up that you just buried now, so they're pretty much hapless waiting for to get another follow-up to play so that they get to their finisher.
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about the idea. So the theme behind DJ Outlaw is he would basically be somebody who spoils cards. So I thought that would be the idea. That's the gimmick. The idea is 50-50 shot of being able to spoil a card his opponent has in his hand. And I'll bring this up. This is not I get a look at a card. This is your opponent reveals the card. So if it's like a tag team match, he has to show everybody. Because normally in a tag team match, if I get a look at a card, I can tell my partner what it is, but I can't show it to him. In this case, everybody gets to look at it. Multiplayer match. Because he's revealing, it's not I'm looking, it's he's revealing. And so you're always going to have like hand knowledge, and then it's a Barry gimmick. I thought about making a discard, but I just decided that I would go Barry better.
I think Barry works better for the reason that, to me, discard is kind of risky because your opponent can play so many different cards to play out of their discard pile.
Yeah,
they get right back.
Yeah, that is true. It is currently the way the game is. It's a little easier to get out of your discard than out of your.
Got some really awesome finishers. The first one, the strike finish, hit the post, +3 to your strike, making that strike an 8, so it bumps up your botch. You look at your opponent's hand, you choose 1 strike, 1 submission, and 1 grapple, and you bury them. So not only do you look at their hand, but you're getting rid of possibly 3 key cards out of their hand.
Yeah, I thought that for balance-wise, being able, instead of just going to look at an opponent's card and then bury 3, that put a nice limit on it. I can bury up to 3, but if they've got all one type, I can only bury 1. If they only have 2 types. I mean, I've had that happen in a game where I looked at somebody's hand and it was all graphic. And it's very easy to be like, I know you played a game with Steve where he looked at your card. I think he hit, was it 7-1-8? And I looked at your hand and you had no grapples. It was all submission. No, it was the bury the follow-ups and you had all leads and finishing.
Yeah. I had to bury all my follow-ups. All I had was leads and finishes.
So it is possible to basically have a situation where it doesn't trigger everything. But yeah, I mean, I figured that was it can be strong, but it's not going to be not OP.
The next finisher I really like the text on. Kind of reminds me of the Devil's Advocate submission finish in a way.
I can see that.
Drop it on 2. is the grapple finish. Adds +1 to the power and +1 to the grapple. So you're getting a 9 now to your power and a 10 to your grapple. The text says burying 2 cards from your hand and then adding 2 cards from your discard pile to your hand. So that's very similar in a way to the Devil's Advocate submission finish. That on Crowd Meter 1 is going to be very good because obviously you're going to have a couple more 10s. You have 3 10s at least.
This one I had to fight a little bit on. I didn't ultimately get my way. My original idea was the power and the grapple ability +2, because the idea was since 2 is in the name, everything would be revolve around 2. But I didn't win that.
Yeah, if it was 2, that would be really brutal on Crowd Meter 0.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, also the stat line changed at the last minute.
Yeah.
So that affected the card. The grapple was not a 9 originally; it was originally a 7.
The last one is called the Hard Break. It's a finish submission, obviously, and it's +3 to technique and +1 to submission. So your technique is now going to a 9 and submission to an 8. And it says your opponent's breakout roll cannot be increased. Now this negates a lot of characters, like
El
Peter
Super
Rager,
Hombre,
Paul
Major
Tane,
Rager,
Super Hombre, yeah. And I'm not sure if it would also affect it if they have a card in play like Kick to the Head, which adds +1 to strike.
I would say no, because you can't, because that's adding to your skill. That changes your skill. This says you can't add to your breakout roll. So if I roll a skill, if my skill is 10, if my skill is 8, then it's just 8. Even if it was a 7 printed, then you added +1 because you played, I don't know, Hurricane Rana or some one of those type cards. I'm not familiar with all the names of all the skill cards.
I was just thinking about it, they don't have any cards that are out that say while this card's in play, your breakout roll is +1 if you roll technique or something along those lines. I think that would be a neat card to kind of add to the game.
The only card I know of that currently adds to your breakout roll is that Eddie Fury has a submission finish that he can discard to add to his breakout.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just talking about like a card that's 1 through 30, where while it's in play, if you roll a certain skill during your breakout roll, it gets +1.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know if would that be better than upping the skill. I mean, you're talking about basically like a leapfrog type card, but for breakout rolls instead of turn rolls.
That's DJ Outlaw. I've been wanting to talk about him for a while on the show. I've been up until before GenCon, but my partner here has been quite bashful about talking about him.
Yeah, well, I doesn't want to. I'm not trying
doesn't
to
want to put himself over.
Yeah,
but I figure if he wasn't, I would. So,
all right.
What else do we got on the docket?
That is pretty much that. Do we want to? We can go. Do you want to go over another card?
Oh well, actually, shout out to Kobe Gulo on his 2-year anniversary. He's got
Mrs.
an entrance
Bum
card. Yeah, Mrs. Bum.
I think it's called entrance card ringside companion.
Yeah, ringside companion. It says once a match after a breakout, shuffle card 8 and 11 from your discard pile into your deck. So there's a lot of good cards in the 8 and 11 slot that you could shuffle in like one more time. What's the 11 there?
Russian leg sweep is a real popular 11.
Yeah, no, not that one. Lucky Shot. Is it Lucky Shot? No, that's 10.
No, that's a strike. It's a 10. Yeah. What's the equivalent?
Slam into the mat is the Lucky
Slam into the mat is the Lucky Shot version. But yeah, I mean, you can do 8. Yeah, the one more time. The Call of the Crowd is number 8. Taunt, I believe, is number 8.
King's Welcome.
King's Welcome to submission. It's number 9.
King's Welcome is number 8. It's a grapple.
Oh, is it grapple? Okay, sorry about that. You're right. Forget about it. It's the submission. That's the number 9.
So congratulations to Kobe on his 2-year anniversary and making this card. That's really nice of him.
Yeah, I know the card will. I believe there's still it's available for order now, but I don't think they're going to have it in stock for a little over a week.
And the new GenCon finisher is available for pre-order on the website.
Yeah, I can confirm because it's out in the wild now. It actually if you order it, you will at this point.
Inebriation.
The last, because when they put the card out, they only had 2 of the 3 finishers with it. So I don't know why that was the case, but
yeah. Did you speak about the Grumps card too?
We didn't talk about the Grumps card. Do you want to do that this week?
Yeah, we could. We got it right here.
All right. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Power 10, 9 technique, 8 agility, 5 strike, 7 submission, 6 grapple. When your opponent rolls 8 or 9 for their turn roll, their next roll is a -1.
Yeah. This was one of the cards that made its debut at GenCon.
The artwork is all done by my favorite, Alina Kolsnik. So the artwork is fantastic. Number 28 is called Byman, with a bunch of A's in it. That's the strike. It says when your strike is +1 for each card your opponent has, and +1 for each. Can't speak now. My dentures are falling out. Your strike skill is +1 for each card your opponent has in play. When your opponent has 5 or more cards in play, this is also a lead. That's really, really strong. So because you could make your up, a 10. You could have a 10 for your strike, assuming you meet the credentials there.
Yeah.
The grapple is called Bangin' and Clangin', another awesome name. Your opponent's skills are -1. If this card is stopped, add 1 card. Add Grumpy Day from your discard pile to your hand, and your next turn roll is -2. So your opponent's skills are -1 if this card is stopped. I'm assuming that's for the next roll.
Well, wait. What is it? Is it a spotlight card?
No.
Then yeah, because if it's stopped. Read it to me. Read it to me again.
Your opponent's skills are -1. Period. If this card is stopped, add Grumpy Day. Oh, I understand. If it hits, your opponent's skills are -1. If it's stopped, you add Grumpy Day from your discard pile to your hand, and your next turn roll is -2.
Yeah, that makes that. That's
So they're getting a -1 for all 3 of their breakout rolls.
yeah. Now, obviously, if you had something offset, you played a card to bump a skill up, that would help out. But yeah,
the Grumpy Day is his finished submission, which has a collective +7 for bonuses, which is really awesome. He gets a +3 to his 7, which is his submission, and a +4 to his grapple, which is a 6. So he's going to have 3 10s right off the jump with that. On crowd meter 1, he's got 4 10s. Well, 11, 10, 11, 11. He'd have 3 11s and a 10. That's pretty nuts.
That's pretty strong, yeah.
Your opponent adds 1 card from the discard pile of their hand, so they get to add a card to their hand, but at the expense, of you getting a bajillion bonuses.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one play makes sense if you're Mr. Eddie Fury and you've got that card that's going to add that you can discard to add to your breakout roll. You're going to pick that up. I think guaranteed.
So I mean, you would kind of almost hope that they stop your finish grapple just to add that submission to your hand.
Yeah. So yeah, because you'd have to basically stop that submission. Then this is another one's gonna be nasty in a submission match. You get that banging and clanging out. That's gonna stay out.
Assuming that you're not playing against Peter Lionheart, but
Yeah. So yeah, assuming you're not playing as Peter Line, that's another interesting card. We'll talk about. We don't think we've talked about that yet. We'll talk about that. Probably another show.
Yeah, we'll speak about that next week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the characters we got up to talk about this week. We got anything else, Mike?
I think that's a good show. I think I'm ready to. Unless there's anything else you had to bring up, I think I'm ready to bring up the play group list.
Yeah, bring us home.
All right, so here's the list I have of all the current local promotions, local play groups. If you have any questions about this, if you'd like to have your play group added to this list, please reach out to us. So I'll start with my own hometown. Buckeye Championship Wrestling plays Columbus, Ohio at the Guard Tower. Saturdays at 6 p.m. I can tell you next week's going to be our big pay-per-view event for the month. We're probably going to have some number one contender matches, at least for our local title. Mallory had her first title defense last night. And she successful. She won. She beat Nick, beat one half of Girthquake. Girthquake also came in wearing their new Girthquake merch.
I've seen those shirts. They're pretty
Girthquake
chill.
shirts. Yeah, I don't. As far as at this point, they're not available for sale yet. I wonder if they'll put them up soon, but they're not bad. Yeah, it's GQ. It's Girthquake. It says Girth on. I think it's Girth in orange, and then Quake. I want to say gray, and then GQ in the between the two words in the center. And the back says no flips, just forks. They're not bad. It's the first local people to have their own merch. So congrats to Justin and Nick on that. All right, so Rust Belt Championship Wrestling. They do Supershow. I don't remember what they call theirs. But Monday night, 6 p.m., recess games in North Olmsted. This is also where Marktoberfest will be on September 21st. They play weekly. LFF Tri-State. The current champion is Loudmouth Leo Linux. I believe won that belt off Brian Wakeford Schmidt.
I think that the boss won it back.
Did the boss win it back?
I think so.
Okay, well, I thought Leo won it, and then I thought Leo defended, but maybe not. Maybe the boss won it back.
No, you're right. He won it. That's what I saw. I saw him posting yesterday about Leo 2 belts. For some reason, I thought the boss had won it back.
Boss has not won it back yet. So, yep. They play at Store Fire and Dice in Lindbergh, New York, Thursdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Out in the Pittsburgh area, Hopewell, Pennsylvania, is the home of City of Champions Wrestling. They play at Titan Game Shop there, Sundays at noon, so they'll probably be kicking off in a few hours, so I hope they have a game. In Clarksville, Tennessee, at Frontline Games, True American Heroes. That's Gregory Patrick Scott's running that out there as the GM, the True American guy. They play Saturdays, usually at 6. We have Florida Cardboard Wrestling in Kissimmee, Florida, at House Rules Gaming. I don't have a date and time for them, but I believe that is the home of the current Tornado Tag Champion, Robert the Brain Dunn. I believe that's his home store. You have up in Michigan Wrestling Alliance at Ypsilanti, Michigan. That's the home of the Coven. Fun for All Comics and Games plays out of there. There's also a group that plays in Westland, Michigan at the store Destiny Games. They usually play Wednesdays at 6:30. And then there's the last Michigan group I have is Fanfare Comics. Hosts a play group on the second and fourth Sunday of every month from around noon to 2. Out west, you have in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City Wrestling plays at Atomic Trading Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. I don't know if I'd say privilege, but I got to play against Fabio last night, the tag team of Mr. Las Vegas, Eddie Fury, and the Phantasm. That is a nasty tag combo.
Who is it?
Fabio was playing him. It's Eddie Fury and the Phantasm.
What's the allure of that?
Okay, so are you familiar with the Phantasm's gimmick?
Not offhand.
Okay, so the Phantasm's gimmick is this. When you roll your lowest skill, your opponent's cards are blank during the next turn.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So the way their stat line matches up, it's 20, 18, 16, and 3 12s.
Huh.
So you have a 50% chance of, when you roll, blanking your opponent's cards.
Or blanking your opponent's cards, yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, if you roll 16, 18, 20, you're probably going to win a turn. If you roll less than that and you lose a turn, now when your opponent plays a card, when they play their finish, it's blank. When they play a lead, it's blank. So it's just a card that goes out that the gimmick does. Other things, it just makes it very difficult to play. I mean, if you're playing somebody like I'm not even gonna get into it, but it's just a nasty. It's a nasty.
Yeah, it is a cool combo.
Cool combo. That's one of the combos I can see because I don't think it's on the radar as like being one of the most broken combos. But like I was talking to somebody last night, where because I still think the future of the game, at least in big tournaments, is going to be tornado tag is printed tags, trios is printed
I think that's going to be a shame because
because
I like the allure of being able to create your own tag teams and the combinations that you can bring to the table. And it's just a shame that some people have to cry and think that certain combos are too broken because that's really not the case.
well, I understand because I know that Steve's vision is that this is a more casual, fun game than a super duper competitive game. And so I can understand that basically wanting to keep the game casual versus, okay, let's create the most broken OP combo we can create and use that in tournaments. I understand that that's a conflict. And to me, the only way to really resolve that conflict, if you want to keep it a more casual game, is to go to straight printed things.
Well, I think if
But
anything makes sense, it should be you should have a heel and face list. You can't mix them outside of that.
uh, I mean, I don't see. I don't know. The only thing about doing something like that, because I've also heard other people talk about, creating like other mechanics to basically keep being able to pair things up, but like restrict it. I don't know. I just feel like you're basically going to be trading, one set of broken things for another set of broken. And if you're trying to get rid of broken things out of the game, just go and print it is the easiest, cleanest way to go. Get rid of broken. But that's just my view. We'll see. Changes are coming. 4+ months from now, there's going to be a first big rule shift. All right, so back to the list. Wizards Card Championship Wrestling plays at Wizards Asylum Comics and Games in Norman, Oklahoma. I don't have an exact date and time, but I know they often play Sundays at noon. So, contact the store or contact them on Facebook in that area to play. Up in your neck of the woods, Revolutionary Championship Wrestling has 3 current venues they play at. In New Bedford, Mass, they play at New England Comics Wednesdays and Saturdays, 3 to 6 on Wednesdays, 11 to 4 on Saturdays. Out in Westport, Massachusetts, Tabletop Games plays Tuesdays from 3:30 to 6. And in Fall River, Massachusetts, Game King hosts games Sundays from 5 to. I'm curious, how close is New Bedford?
It's almost 3 hours.
I was gonna say it's Saturday. You could think, I know you now have your travels easy, but yeah, 3-hour drive to play 5 hours casual, 3-hour one way, 6-hour round trip.
3 hours there, 3 hours back.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. So, all right, the other New York group we have, as it plays at East End Gaming, they're Island Life Wrestling. East End Gaming in Oakdale, New York. They play Wednesdays and Fridays. I don't have a time for them, but I'm assuming it's going to be 6 or later. Outpost Wrestling plays at Outpost Games in Glendale, Arizona, Saturdays from 11 to 2 in midday. So midday gaming out there at Outpost Games. Meeple People Wrestling plays at Highlander Games in Boone, New Jersey. Again, I don't have a date or time on that, so I'd reach out to Highlander Games. That's the home of Anthony Medvez, the man featured on the card True Survivor. And then there's 2 alternate universes locations where they play. The first is AU Bluebell, which is in East Norton, Pennsylvania. I believe that's the game run by the Phoenix EV Fresh. Is in charge of that location. I'm not 100% of that, but in charge of that location. And then the other location for alternate universe is in Holmes, Pennsylvania. They play Sundays at noon. I know there's pretty solid play groups at both ends. So if you're in those areas, you're looking for a gaming, check that out. And that is it. If you'd like to have me add your play groups list to this, if you have any questions, comments, want to leave any feedback, there's a few different ways you can contact with us. You can reach out to either Nate or I on Facebook Messenger directly. You can also email the show. We're outlawmudcast@gmail.com. That's outlawmudcast@gmail.com. Or you can even direct message us on Twitter. We have a Twitter account. We are at Outlaw Mudcast on Twitter. So I believe that is the show. Any final words, Mr. Wagner?
Well, no, I just want to say thanks for everybody for being patient. For the last couple of weeks, we've had some technical difficulties, and I haven't been on the show, and I haven't been as involved in the community as much as I'd like to be. But I am still here, so yeah. Just hope everybody has a great week and eat good and roll better, folks.
All right. Well, for Nathan Wagner, I am Michael Kirk. Thank you, and good day.